Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run. Outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along to Southern California for 2024's third installment of the VWSC NRAS Championship, and it's our first street race of the season here at Long Beach. It's going to be an exciting evening of racing. It's a lot different to what we had in Sebring last time out. My name is Darren Thacker, joined by James Parfitt in the commentary box. And James, Long Beach, especially for Hypercars and GT3 racing, this could be incredibly exciting.
It can be, yeah, and I think they're going to have to cope hard like that on the screen as we can just see three cars pile up. I don't think that's going to be the first time we're going to see that, to be blatantly honest with you. You know, it's tight, it's a street circuit. This last corner is tight as anything. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, lots of different challenges for these guys all the way through. But of course, this is the third round of the season. We've had our first two rounds at Daytona and Sebring. We're now here at Long Beach, so different track really to what we've seen so far. I think it's going to be a different challenge for some of these guys, and you can see here the track layout. I mean, you've got that long straight from the final corner down towards turn one, but really apart from that, it's going to be difficult for these hypercars to get through the GT3s.
Yeah, they've got nowhere to go. It's going to be dive and hope, I think. I think that's going to be the problem. And down into turn one, probably should be the main run from 11 down into 1. You know, they've got to play with 1.97 miles, not very long whatsoever. So we'll just have to see how they get on with that one.
It's, if we can have a look at those standings, because we've had two races so far. And we've had an interesting couple of rounds, but Dan Kirby leads those Hypercar Pro standings after a win at Daytona, a win at Sebring. Alec King not too far back, but he's in a bit of a fight with Mike Bell and Brian Hall at the moment. Kyle Vaser, Franco Alvarez, Don Hunter, Adrian Rice, and Ben Kesby are in the top 9. But there's something to note, because Dan Kirby does seem to be in a GT3 car, so he will be looking to enter a different championship. Meanwhile, in the AM standings for the Hypercars, it's Jerry Chen who leads the way, but he's tied on points with George Angelidis because they've both taken a win and a second place. Gilles Lalonde's P3 with Lanny Hall and Diego Rodriguez in the top 5. Scar Pope's P6, Norm Graf, Felipe Ducati, Guillaume Benke, and Jerry Hamilton are in the top 10 with Wayne Galvin, Tom Mountjoy, and Ken Scott running at the other drivers. Some of those guys really needing to pick up points relatively soon. GT3, these guys, of course, in the GT3 Pro category, it's Matheus Santos who leads the way, but not by far. JT Tammy is right there in the fight. Michael Locke, Matthew Overton, and Alicio Neto, after his win in the opening round, is only good enough for P5 after Sebring. James Walker, Eugene Masseur, Johnny Gutierrez, Vinicius Goncalves, and Paul Ibbotson are in the top 10. There's a lot more drivers, including Daniel Fass, Ross Smith, Eric Jacobs, John Nguyen, David Anderson, Adrian Rice, Max on the lap, Stuart Barge, John Mayer, Tucker Martin, Dave Courts, and Vinicius de Oliveira. So lots of drivers. It shows how many cars that we get on the track here in the NARS Championship. In the AM category, Stephen Miller is leading the way ahead of Josh McGlinskey after Stephen Miller's consistent 2 second-place finishes. Alexander McQuarrie's P3 with Oliver Day and James Bowders in the top 5. It's Gino Bardelli, Sean Kelly, Tom Nacella, Alan Holden, and Carl Struhl in the top 10. Philip Stocks, Cole McMillan, Ryan Reyes, Stacey Scott, and Mike Olsen. All of the drivers that we have. And looking at the teams, they just keep coming, don't they? It's Flying Kiwi Racing that lead the way, 94 points. They've got quite a hefty margin to the Hall brothers. And Shade Tree Motorsport. It gets a little bit tighter when you look at Faux Real Sim Racing, Barely Functional Motorsports, Red Weasel Racing, Champion Motorsports, CMS GT, GT3 drivers, and the Vice Champion. The Vice Racing duo at the back there. But lots of points to be handed out. Still a long way in the season. I think, James, this is kind of the point in the season where, you know, a good result here could set you up quite nicely for the next few rounds. But with it being a street circuit, a lot could go wrong.
Yes. A lot could go wrong. How many, though, out of the 32 cars that we got that's going to finish? That's going to be the question. How many do we think are going to finish here? It's going to be very, very tight. It's going to be very hard. I reckon if we finish with 25 cars, and that's taken into consideration 7 are going to end up in a wall, I think it's going to be very, very close. We've got 4.5 minutes left of warm-up. Challenges on the board for you there as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the point about Long Beach, is because particularly compared to other street tracks, you've really got to get your elbows out, because some of these corners, there are different lines. You can go too wide, but they really tighten at the apex, don't they? So you've really got to just go for it and hope that you don't push someone into the wall, particularly through that orange zone where incidents will be penalised harsher than in the rest of the track. But it's such a dangerous circuit, isn't it? You think we see so many times in real life, whether it be in IndyCar or whether it be IMSA, where we see so many collisions, so many incidents, and I just don't think it's going to be any different this evening.
No, I don't think it will be either. We've got Alec King with us in the booth for the last few minutes of the warm-up. Alec, welcome in, buddy. How are you?
How's it going, guys? How have you guys been doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Doing good. Just getting ready for another good night of racing with everybody. It's looking like it's gonna be very exciting. Track is definitely tight in practice leading up to this race this week. It's definitely been some close calls between the multi-class from Hypercar to GT3, but I think it's going to be fun. This is really challenging, and it's going to be a big separator. So I'm really excited for tonight.
All right, quick question. Dan Kirby switching over to a GT3. Has that given you a free pass in the championship?
You could say so, yes. Dan has decided to kind of take a step back and do some more development in this series. He is still going to be running in top class for Saturday, but for our Thursday series, he's decided to get some testing on some cars that we didn't get a lot of data on during our preseason testing when we were developing them. But yeah, it definitely opens the door wide open. I think me and Mike are definitely going to go at it. We qualified, I think, less than 0.06 of a second away from each other, so it's definitely going to make this championship really interesting.
Yeah, it definitely will do. Going into that, though, as well, tough circuit. Where's your overtakes going to come from on the GTs?
So under braking definitely is not going to work because of how low speed everything is. The GT3s can really just drive in harder and outbrake you. So trying to get a good exit from the corner to really set yourself up to get a good run down the short straights that we have here is going to be the only overtaking spot. Trying to outbrake a GT3 into any of the tight hairpins just will not work in a hypercar.
All right, okay. Pit stops, what do you reckon, 1 or 2?
It could be 1, could be 2. If you go 2, you have to sprint a lot and try to get a big gap out front. It's a very long pit lane, so you could lose a lot of time with there. And with the traffic and everything, you won't be able to burn through as much fuel as fast. So it kind of depends. I think a lot of guys are going to try and fuel save and try and do it on one stop, but you just got to try and find the right fuel number. I think traffic will definitely help for the people trying to do one stop, and we'll have to see how it plays out at the end. It always is pretty close with different strategies everyone tries to play with.
All right, last question before we let you go. How much patience are you going to have with the GT3s?
More than what you want. You definitely have to be patient around here. There's not a lot of places to make a pass. It's really, really tight. So the last thing you want to do is cause an incident and get an IRR like I had last weekend at Sebring. So you want to have more than what you want to give them, but no, they're on track too, so you have to be very respectful and try and just set yourself up to make the pass when it's safe for you to do so.
All right, mate. Well, go and have a good one, buddy, and hopefully we will see you up there on the winner's step. And good luck. Have a good race.
Thank you, guys. Yep, you guys take it easy, and thank you guys for doing this. This is really awesome.
No worries, bud. You enjoy yourself. Take care. Well, there you go, Dara. That was Alec King, of course, one of the guys behind the fact that we're here broadcasting as well. I think this track is going to be very, very interesting. As he said, more patience than you want with a GT3.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what he said, actually, particularly about things with the traffic, maybe being able to help these guys do a one-stop, and the moves aren't really going to be able to be made under braking. So it's going to be difficult. I mean, I was just looking at some of the warm-up times as well, just looking at the timing tower. I mean, Dan Kirby is within 3 seconds of a couple of the hypercars around one lap here. So, you know, there isn't that much of a pace advantage as we've seen at Daytona, as we've seen at Sebring. So I think even the fact that these cars are actually closer than they normally are in terms of pace is not going to help the fact that they've then got to get through on an incredibly tight and twisty track. So it's going to be a difficult evening, I think, for these hypercars, and they've got a lot of work in front of them. But I think particularly around someone like Long Beach, it's just making sure you keep your nose clean through the traffic, which is going to really pick up the points, isn't it?
I think that's the thing. I think if you manage to stay on the traffic and get through it without any problems, I think you should be okay. Other than that, I think you could be in trouble. You know, they've got to make sure they can get through the GT3s, and that is it. And that's the end of the day. Basically, if you survive the GT3s, you survive the traffic, I think you're in a good chance of scoring points. And I'm expecting some of these guys to do really well with that. We've got not long left now, I think, before we jump in to the race session itself. Thanks so much for joining us, of course, here as well. Long Beach, tight track, tight walls. Let's see who can finish. I think that's going to be the main thing.
Yeah, hopefully we get a tight finish as well. Hopefully we don't get a couple of cars running away with it. I think with Dan Kirby dropping to GT3, the hypercar battle might be quite interesting. But here is the grid. Mike Bell is on pole. Alec King will be on the front row, with Ben Kesby and Franco Alvarez just in behind. You can see all the cars lining up. There's lots of them to come through. Scar Pope, Adrian Rice, Jerry Chen, and Wayne Galvin in the top 8. A few AMs mixing it in with the pros as well in this top 10. As we run our way through to the back end of the top 10. Nom Graf and George Angelidis just inside, with Jason Whited and Lanny Hall on the 6th row of the grid. I mean, you can see all the cars there. This is only a third of the way through the grid. 32 cars in this race. Dan Kirby leading that GT3, of course. Eduardo Beninca is in P14 or P2 in the class as well. Matthew Overton is in P15 as we look further back. Eugene Mazur is just behind John Uyan, with Max Sunthunlap in P18. JT Tammy and Eric Jacobs in the top 20. And then we look further back to see that in P21 it's Paul Ibbotson and Ross Smith in P22 in that pink machine. Alexander McQuarrie and Alan Holden, those two AM drivers lining up P23 and P24. In 25th it's Stephen Miller, John Mayer alongside him, with Ryan Reyes and Sean Kelly in 28th. And then there's only just that one more slide to come. 4 more drivers, and they are, or 3 more drivers I should say. James Boders, David Addison and Stacey Scott, the 31 drivers taking the flag. I think we either have Kyle Vaser at the back, or he is not going to be joining us. But an hour-long race, James. I mean, we've had 1 hour, 12-minute races so far this season. We've talked about how it's between a sprint and an endurance race. This one, it just feels like it's a bit more of a sprint, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's only an hour long, right? And we all know that that's just a standard practice for most sprint races, and I think at the end of the day these guys should be able to manage this quite well. I'm hoping they will be able to here. I think the interesting thing for me is that George Angelidis has got a couple of GT3s in front with Dan Kirby. I'm not entirely sure why they've ended up there. I would have thought the hypercars would have been in front of the GT3s because obviously class order start, but yeah, I'm a little bit confused why Angelidis is behind Dan Kirby and Eduardo Beninca and Matthew Overton. They have started to move their way through. There they go. Now, I would have thought they would have been, yeah, they've joined onto the back of the hypercars as well. I'm surprised there isn't a little bit more of a gap to the GT3s. They've been told single file through this corner, Dara, partly because, well, it's a 90-degree turn.
Well, I think it's more nearly 180 degrees because it's just so tight. Only really room for one car to fit through there. We're about to get going. 1 hour of racing here at Long Beach. It is sunny California, but will it be sunny for Mike Bell? Can he convert this pole into a win? We're waiting for that green flag to drop and for this race to get underway. And Mike Bell is just he's just teasing us with the carrot dangling in front of us. But there he goes. Mike Bell releases us away here in Long Beach. It's going to be Alec King trying to follow him down towards turn 1, but it's a perfect start for Mike Bell. It's so difficult to make a move, especially when you can't go too wide, and Mike Bell will control it down into the opening corner. Meanwhile, we look back, and Dan Kirby, perfect start for him in the GT3s, and really, it's just gone as business as usual for those top guys.
Yeah, it has. They've all got away nice and cleanly. No real dramas. Obviously, you know, they were all a little bit slow through the last corner. But then again, as you say, it's like it practically is 180, to be fair. I've got my degrees wrong on that one. But yeah, it's about 180 degrees. Mike Bell now coming into what can only be deemed as a very interesting part of the circuit. Coming through Pine Avenue, down through Seaside Way before he goes into Firestone Turn. And I think at the moment, with the fact that Mike Bell's got away, how's he going to cope with Alec King behind him? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, he's got to be aware of Alec King in his wing mirrors, and I think Alec will be looking for the move early on. You don't want to leave it too long, especially if you start to catch some GT3 traffic. You want to be the one dictating the pace and dictating how you make your way through. But as they end the opening lap here in Long Beach, Mike Bell, he's got a relatively comfortable advantage, about 0.8 of a second, as of course he sets the best lap time. It's going to be interesting just to see what the times are compared between the Hypercars and the GT3s, because Mike Bell with a 15.1, we'll have to see what kind of lap times Dan Kirby is setting, because I don't think he's going to be that far off the pace as he makes his way through, and it's at 20.6, so he's only really 5 seconds off the pace, so we might only be looking at maybe these guys being lapped twice by the Hypercars.
Yeah, then it's going to take a while for them to get round, probably a good 7 or 8 laps, I think, which could be an interesting one for them to be able to develop and see how they get on. Mike Bell at the moment, you can see here, is just going around the right-hander before we go down the Seaside Way. He's doing another stellar job in that Hypercars, but there's some interesting battles. Hypercar AMS are going at it here with Wayne Galvin and Jerry Chen, and also Norm Graff is not too far away, so that's a nice little interesting battle. In the GT, we've got John Uyan and Matthew Overton as well. You can see John Uyan there fighting his way through as much as he possibly can. So it's a great little thing happening, great little battles, and so far so good. Lanning Hall is into the pits and come out of the pits already. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him, but the GT3s are putting on the action as well as the Hypercars. Mike Bell nearly 0.8 in front now.
Yeah, he looks relatively comfortable, doesn't he, really, Mike Bell? Although Alec King was about 0.5 quicker on that last lap, but yeah, we're talking about less than a blink of an eye in terms of difference of lap times. So it looks relatively okay for Mike Bell. I think we're going to see a lot of the overtaking being done when there is traffic and people trying to take advantage of that. As we look at John Uyan maybe not wanting to wait, looking for a move on Matthew Overton, but Matthew Overton being able to defend that one, but he's gone a little bit deep down in towards turn 1, but you can afford to make that mistake, really, can't you? Because when you come into 2 and 3 by the fountain, there is really no room to make a move if you've got some overspeed.
No, it doesn't matter where you are in the fountain. If your move's not done by the time you get into turn 1, you are in trouble. There's just nothing you can do, and that is one of the things they're going to have to look out for going down into turn 1. They don't want to be one of these people that end up on top of the fountain, and because that would, well, be horrendous. Although amusing for us, it would be horrendous for them to end up on top of the fountain as well. Francesco Alvarez in the Hypercar. He's chasing down Ben Kesby at the moment. These guys not very far apart on track whatsoever. And again, nice little run from Francesco Alvarez here behind Ben. And we'll see how he gets on. You can see the difference in speed through that fountain, though. I tell you, Alvarez got a lot better run.
Yeah, but it's just so difficult because you can't make that move, can you, anywhere through this middle sector? When your lap times are so close, you need a big old overspeed to try and make the move through that middle sector. Dan Kirby going fastest in the GT3s. That is not a bad lap time at all from him. A 17.9 is really not that far off the pace of some of the Hypercars. I mean, he's lapping about 4 seconds off, but really, that's really not that much when you consider that we're going to be looking at what, about 40 laps or so, give or take. So it's not going to be terribly different in terms of the overall length of the race. But as we run our way through now, we're in the opening laps. I think we are really waiting, aren't we, for that first set of lapped traffic for the hypercars.
Yeah, it definitely is. And judging about where they are on the circuit as well, it's not going to be massively long. They're, you know, before they come over and start where they're at. The hypercars just coming over the start finish line, some of the back end of the GT3s, and I say that in the nicest way possible. Stacey Scott is on that back end position. She's going to be caught very shortly as these guys are coming not too far around the left-hander, and they can see the hypercars starting to come through already. So the hypercars starting to go onto the back of the GT3s. I love having a look at how the hypercars handle that traffic. Past Mike Belly goes. Alec King, how are you going to do it? You're trying the outside. Yay, 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 yay. And that, he did say more patience than he needs, but he didn't actually have many there, did he?
No, he didn't, and it came unstuck in the first GT3 to lap in the evening, which wouldn't be fantastic, but he's got through, and it just shows how difficult it can be, because the GT3s really aren't sluggish through some of these corners. They have about as much pace at the lower speeds as these hypercars. It's just when we get to the acceleration zone, though, you can see the hypercars clearly faster, and Mike Bell doing a good job to be able to pass two GT3 cars down this big old main straight. I mean, it is a very, very long part of the racetrack. Nearly half of the entire lap distance is down towards turn one. So, you know, lots of chances, I think, for these hypercars to try and make their way through in places where you think that a pass is sensible. Oh, was Franco Alvarez? I think he just clipped the wall there. But when you get into this middle sector of the racetrack, you're just going to get stuck, aren't you, as we're seeing now?
Yeah, Kesby's just got to wait patiently as once again they go round in to the left-hander. They can make an overtake here if they're close enough to the GT3s. Other than that, well, you've got to wait for Seaside Way. And this is where Kesby really needs to make that overtake. Alvarez needs to do it as well, because Alvarez is not too far apart at the moment. He needs to make sure he's sticking right behind Kesby. And that's the problem when you get to the traffic. You've got to make sure that you're sticking to the person in front. The problem is, if the person in front gets through, it gives you that aggressive head. It gives you that mindset that you have to clear the GT3, because otherwise you're going to be there for at least a few corners before you can make that overtake, and it's going to be difficult. So I'm hoping sort of Alvarez holds his head a little bit. Kesby's going to want to try and clear this Porsche going into turn one. Hasn't got the job done, so we know now through one coming into the fountain at 2 and 3, he's not going to be able to get through. Turn 4 is going to be difficult unless he goes and makes a dive. He can't get through on that one. He's got to wait for the right-hander here. He goes up the inside. Where's Alvarez in conjunction? Forcing his way through because he knows he has to.
Yeah, there's not really any option for Alvarez at the moment. He needs to make these moves at the same time that we're seeing Ben Kesby make those moves. But, you know, all the while where these guys are sitting in behind through some of these corners, it's inviting a little bit more pressure on towards the back. We're starting to see Adrian Rice drag himself into this battle just in behind. But look at Franco Alvarez now trying to use...
Dude!
Oh, no! Oh, no! And that is a big incident. He's actually facing the right way. I don't know how they've got away with that. Surely there's going to be some damage on that car, but it's exactly what we're talking about in terms of incidents.
Yeah, that was just trying to go with him through the GT3 traffic. That's allowed Adrian Rice to go in front of both of them. I don't know if Alvarez sat there and waited for Kesby to go, but that was massive. Absolutely huge crash. How did he get away with that? He must have been in a car that's made of absolute titanium steel, because he would not have got through that. He's got all of his bits on the car as well, and oh my giddy god, that was absolutely huge. And yet Kesby and Alvarez both made it through. Kesby clicked Alvarez, and it was just a rapid spin for Kesby. Still in front though. Adrian Rice is on his bike. He's escaped up the road. Mike Bell has been overtaken by Alec King here. So Mike Bell's got stuck somewhere, and now Alec King has taken advantage of it and has got through on them.
I think Adrian Rice is going to be bank transferring Alvarez pretty shortly, because that was a very nice way for him to just be able to pick up 2 free spots. They didn't really have to work for them, just was able to pick them off as they came together. But Alec King now getting through on yet more lap traffic. I think he's now overtaking the P23 man, Ross Smith, in that pink machine. Yeah, you can just about see him down towards turn 1. So Ross Smith now a lap down as we are about 10 minutes into this race. We started just before the hour mark. I think as they tried to, the organisers gave a little bit of time for a formation lap. But look at this, you can see GT3 traffic in the way for Mike Bell. He had to do a bit of an up and under. He's lost the rear end. Oh, and that is going to lose him time. That might be how he lost the lead.
Yeah, it's possible that he could have been rushing a move at the moment. And for Mike, he's got to settle back down. I know we sit here and say it's an hour, but it's still a long time, right? For my wife, that's a couple of episodes of EastEnders, you know, and for us men, it's probably our first half of a football game. But he's got to be more on it and more patient. He cannot be rushing things like he has done. You can see in the GT3s at the moment, Dan Kirby's gone. He is flying away with it. 4.4 seconds to Benica, who is behind him. Something Laps having a nice little tidy battle here once more. That is currently him in the yellow machine, and he's going in between John Uyan in front and also Eugene Mazur behind, and that is the leaders coming through again. Bell's not really patient at the moment. You can see him here, Dara. He's rushing the moves on the GT3s. He's making mistakes, and all the while that's allowed Alec King to open up 2.4 seconds up the road, and that is just not good for Mike Bell.
No, these kind of races are all about managing the traffic, and that's exactly what Alec King has done so far perfectly in the opening 12 minutes of this race. And Mike Bell is going to really have to sharpen up a little bit if he's going to be able to claim this time back on the back of Alec King. But as it is, as we run our way through yet again, oh, that is a GT3 really clouting the wall on the exit of, I believe that was turn 7 up, though, turn 8, I should say. You know, it's we talked about the walls being tight, but these guys, they really are banging into them and somehow getting away with it. So there does seem to be a little bit more wiggle room for some of these guys when it comes to, you know, pushing the boundaries with the walls. Yeah,
but they need it. Look what's around them. There's no runoff. It is a wall, and more walls. There's nothing else there that these guys can contend with. It is just all walls. Eugene Mazur now right behind Max Sumferlap, and he's giving him a whole heap of grief. There is a hypercar trying to come through in the background. I think that's Adrian Rice trying to make his way through in that green machine. It looks like it is Adrian Rice as he's coming through the traffic. There he is. That is Adrian there as well. You can't do it down here. Wait for this little run of a straight, get yourself onto the power, and then go up to the next one. Now he's got to wait again. It's all about the patient game of waiting. And oh, that crisscross is, oh, it is so tough. It's so dangerous at Long Beach. And multi-class here, well, you've got to have kahunas of steel, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, there's a reason that I think viewing figures when it comes to IMSA particularly spike when it comes to the Long Beach race, because you do get some fantastic racing with different classes. Just a slide there as we see Franco Alvarez now still on the back of Kesby as they run their way through the final corner.
Ibbitson's gone off.
Yeah, down in that green and yellow machine, or green and lime. Either way, it looks
oh. Oh. No, just slight little touches there as well. Got to love Paul Ibbotson. I didn't realise that he's actually got the JPB logo on the side of his car, so fair play to him on that one for putting a logo on there as well. But there's a nice little battle down there with John Meyer and David Anderson, and Meyer looking like he's just made that move past Anderson. He has. We've lost Alexander McQuarrie already. There was somebody else in the wall there. That's in the Mercedes. That's never a good idea either, putting it in the wall once more. But there's little tight battles through the GT3s. You've still got Max Sunflap. He's still chasing down John Uyan. When Galvin is getting very close to George Angelidis, and I believe that may have been Lanny Hall having another little bit of a moment now. We can see if we can pick up on what Lanny's been up to here. And we can't. Oh, he's all out of shape there already.
But either way, that's not going to help you out if you're going straight on there. We'll see Lanny Hall now dive it, I think, into the pit lane. Yeah, there they go, just to try and repair that car, because that is looking worse for wear. Back up to this hypercar battle. That is Alvarez. Oh, and that is him spinning around. It was nearly a full spin, and he was given a bit of a love tap as well by GT3 just to send him around. He's reversing into a support road, but he's back going once again. But that is just not what you need so early on in the race.
No, definitely not. We've also got Ibbotson has gone in the wall as well. He unfortunately is now down into the pits. He's DNF'd as Paul Ibbotson. Alvarez here has now got Adrian Rice. I wonder what Adrian Rice got up to as well. Hold on.
See then, down into the fountain. He's sliding. Rear end. Yeah, that is going to tap him around. He's not got... Oh, has he got stuck in the fountain? I think he's okay. I think he was waiting for a gap there, but in amongst the foliage there at the fountain, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was. This is Paul Ibbotson. This is how he ended up there as well. And then if we pick up on Franco Alvarez, Alvarez was not very far behind Ibbotson. And he's kind of... This is what we looked at. He did the spin in front of the GT3, tapped him around. You can see Ibbotson on the left-hand side there as well. So, yeah, tough for these guys so far.
Yeah, it's been a difficult evening, and I say evening, we're only about a quarter of the way through the race, so, you know, a long way to go for these guys, and there is always that risk of, you know, overtaking one of these cars. Franco Alvarez overtaking yet another GT3, doing it nicer, though, at turn 5 and going down West Shoreline Drive towards turn 6 and turn 7, but... No, he's got a little bit of free air now, but it's just difficult when you keep meeting these GT3 cars in inopportune moments. You want to be meeting them down that main straight where you can just fly past them. But with so many cars on the track, you don't really have a choice. They're just there every lap.
Yeah, this is it. You know, oh, Alvarez is pushing. It's pushing like a trooper. The problem is once you start getting into the GT3 traffic, you're going to get that every single lap after. You're not gonna get a lap break. Just how the traffic spans out and how it spreads out, you're gonna be in it every single time. The only clean lap you were gonna get was probably right at the beginning, and that was it. There was going to be nothing else there at all. We'll jump on board here at the moment with Matthew Overton. He's chasing down Eduardo Bonica, I believe, in front of him. So these guys having a right little ding-dong back here as well. Overton trying to get away, trying to get up to Bonica to get that position away, which of course will be second place because Dan Kirby is gone. Kim D, welcome into YouTube chat. Sorry we didn't see you there earlier. Go Stacey. I can tell you now, Stacey has been in the pits and is out and running. Had a little bit of a moment herself. So unfortunately, there's quite a few cars. DNFs already. Paul Ibbotson and Alexander McQuarrie. They finished off here and gone. But apart from that, everybody else is still running, and it is getting very, very interesting with Wayne Galvin and George Angelidis.
is, and I think it's also getting tight between Chen and Alvarez as well. So there are battles on track all the way through the order here. 30 cars still running here at Long Beach, a very, very large grid. I mean, we had about 50 at Sebring, and I think if we had 50 here at Long Beach, it would be absolutely impossible to keep track of anything that was going on. There'd be far too much. But here they go, Angelidis and Galvin going through on a couple of GT3 cars before they get to turn 1. Nicely negotiated, and Angelidis will stick in behind at the moment. In front of Angelidis, though, of course, in class is Jerry Chen. And he's doing quite well. He's been fighting away with Franco Alvarez, but the leader in the Hypercar AM category, Scar Pope, he's P4 overall, doing a very good, or having a very good evening so far. He's about 11 seconds clear of Adrian Rice, so he's going under the radar a bit this evening.
Yeah, there's quite a lot going on all the way through. And Paul Ibbotson in the GT3 Lambo, I hit the wall and engine got damaged, wouldn't start back up. So that was why Ibbotson was sat on the side there, as we saw, and not able to go anywhere else. Angelidis, you've got to be decisive. Oh, George. Oh, blimey. He's got to wait. He's got his patience, and I appreciate that. But did he have an opportunity that he could have made that move on that GT3? Well, he's going to have that opportunity now. Just as we bigged you up as well, Paul. So now you've got the JBB logo on the side of the car. No! Oh!
I fully thought we were going to see a GT3 spinning around there. I don't quite know how there was any contact. But there is some contact. And it's a good job it's late in the evening, because that is some interesting contact down there at turn 1. That was a GT3 being lifted up in the air, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see this one again. It's actually it's the 60. Oh! It's a weird incident, and there goes Alvarez in sympathy.
And now they're just stuck there, and then all of a sudden, I've got a funny feeling. There's a GT.
Yeah, someone's just not going to see this one.
Oh, there he is. That's Overton. Oh, no. Wow.
I think it's a good thing that we caught that halfway through, where we just saw the car going mid-air. As it really gave us quite a statement of what was going on at turn 1. Adrian Rice, though, he's really not had the best run of it. He's spun around again. He's trying to pirouette himself back out of it, but he is right down near the back. He will be down near the back now, especially with the damage that his car would have sustained. I'm sure if this was real life, he'd be off to the medical centre after a hit like that. But, you know, still got 40 minutes to go. He's still got chances.
He's broken. Look at the steering, the right hand's down as well. He goes above a certain speed and the car's just like, nope, I am not doing that. And now he can't get any rotation whatsoever. Dara, that car is broke. It is a very expensive broke, but good job it's sim related, because it costs him. Oh, he can't even get it. Go into the pits. Yep, good job as well. We've lost Jason Whitehead, and I want to just see what he got himself up to. I'm wondering if he got involved in this little oh no, he just spun it. And then, oh, hello. All there, mate.
I think he wanted to go to the Pacific, have a nice dip his feet in the ocean. But yeah, that is not the optimal line through there. We're seeing some interesting lines, aren't we, so far? I mean, some optimal, some, I think it's fair to say, suboptimal lines. But these guys at the moment, the likes of JT, Tammy, Eugene, Mazda, they're going nicely at the moment. P6, P7 in the LMGT3 class at the moment as they make their way to the final corner. Meanwhile, there is that is Stacey Scott going a little bit slowly down towards turn 9. I don't know if there's a problem there for Stacey.
Oh,
and I've
no!
just seen Paul.
It's just hit the wall. It's got a JBB banner on it. Look at that logo.
No,
Bottom left-hand corner.
Paul just put in the chat that she's got one. There it is. Nice and proud on the side.
Yeah, well done, Stacey.
I think that's why Stacey spun there, just to show us.
Yeah, maybe. That was it. She's just getting it close to the camera. But unfortunately, she can't seem to get that car round at the moment. it's like a 20-point turn here, and sometimes you wonder if it's easy just to go back to the pit lane. We've lost Adrian Rice, he's DNF'd. Well, that's no surprise. Jason White at DNF, Paul Ibbotson and Alex McQuarrie DNF'd as well, and unfortunately it looks like Stacey Scott is not going to be far behind if she can get that car round. It does look like specific. Oh my dearie me, look at that left hand, 90 degrees almost. Oh, Stacey, that is going to be horrendous to try and drive that like that.
Well, not on your road car, that's for sure. You'd be taking that to someone to look at. That's for sure. So, in the race, though, let's have a quick look at some of the gaps at the front. Alec King leads by 11 seconds in the hypercar class. Scar Pope leads by 14.5 in the AM class. It's an 11-second lead for Dan Kirby in the LMGT3, and it's a 7.5-second lead for Alan Holden in the AM category. So, there are some closer gaps, but they might start to open up yet again. I think it's just kind of, we're in this stage of the race where, as we were talking to Alec King before, it was, we don't know how far we're going to go before we see pit stops, particularly for the fuel, but it's just kind of survival out here at the moment, isn't it?
It is, and I think the hypercars are not going to be very much longer. I think 20 to 25 minutes maybe on that one. I can tell you one thing that is one person who's not hanging around at the moment is Wayne Galvin. Oh, George! George!
Still gone P-Tong, George. I think he broke a little bit too late there, coming in towards turn 9. You could see him get close. Yeah, he gets so close to the back of the car. Tries to avoid, and then when he starts turning, he's on the marbles. And so the rear end steps out, and then
bits of carbon
all there, and there's a bit of carbon fiber flying off the car. That's not what you want to see.
No. Unfortunately not for George Angelidis there. Having a bit of a rough one, but we can see that at the moment it's getting quite spread out, and I don't think that's a bad idea. I think to get through this middle part of the circuit, this middle part of the race is 35 to 25 minutes, 20 minutes even to go. Get it spread out. Just try and get some laps off right at the moment, because we've got Scar Popes into the pits, and we've got Franco Alvarez who's in the pits. He's had a rough one. Adrian Rice, Jason White and Stacey Scott's back into the pits again. Paul Ibbotson and Alex McQuarrie are also DNF'd as well. So yeah, it's been tough for some people here, but this is what Long Beach is. It's a tough circuit running multi-class, and I can guarantee whoever picked this calendar, well, I don't know how happy they're going to be coming into Long Beach.
Yeah, it's just a funny circuit, really, isn't it? It's kind of its own particular little challenge. Of course, it is set on the streets right on the beach here in Long Beach. Of course, Long Beach is a little bit of a... it's a
you
town
state the obvious, Darragh, it's fine.
I saw the sentence and realised where it was ending up and thought, that's a bit of an obvious statement, really, isn't it? But yeah, it's just south of LA, so it's a bit of a metropolitan area of LA, so, close to all your amenities that you need, but it's right next to the beach. I mean, you can't really see it. It doesn't really do it justice, this angle. But just the other side of those palm trees, so the right-hand side of your screen, is the ocean.
There you go.
You could just about see it there, actually. So we are right on the beachfront, and it's the closest America's got to Monaco, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but you've got to be honest as well. You can't. It's a circuit that people either love or hate, as you can see. Alec King here, he's trying to get through Dan Kirby, well, not get through Dan Kirby, get past Dan Kirby. As Alex said, Alex has been given an appraisal or reappraisal in the Hypercar Championship, because obviously Dan's gone down to GT3, so he's been given the lead as such. So that's going to be interesting to see how that championship goes. Eugene Mazur is caught up to the back of Max Umferlap and John Uyan, so we're going to keep an eye on this little GT3 battle. The circuit itself, right, you either love it, you hate it, but you could never find a car that works here. Is it an Indy car? Well, that's absolutely rapid, so good luck getting that round the fountain. Is it a GT3? Is it a hypercar? Well, we've seen what chaos that causes. So what cars would work here? I have no idea.
I'd like to think a little Nissan Micra might do well around this circuit. They might be quite fun to see. Or an MX, you know what, an MX-5 race. I would love to see a Mazda MX-5 race here at Long Beach. I think that would be excellent.
Oh, good choice.
Excellent viewing.
Yeah, I think that or a little Renault Clio.
Yeah, they design cars at the Nürburgring, don't they? You know, they say, you know, tested at the Nürburgring. I've never seen, and I don't think there ever will be a car where they put tested at Long Beach on the back, because if you tested your car here and you put it out on the road, I don't think it'd be that reliable.
No. And I wouldn't. Can you imagine testing the turn-in circle here? It would be awful. Paul Ibbison's got the right idea, though. Lawnmowers would work. Yeah, that's about. I'd love to see little ride-on lawnmowers around here. It would be absolutely amazing. I think on that one, that would be cool. But yeah, they'd have to lift up the rotors, because otherwise we'd have some very interesting chewed-up tarmac. But yeah, Paul, I don't think you're far from it. I can't really see a lot else. Maybe some nice little 150cc go-karts, possibly. But yeah, it's difficult to really find a car that works, you know, that's not big like the GT3s, that's not fast like a GTP. You know, it's tough. Formula Ford, maybe a little Formula V, given Long Beach, as we said, a little Clio, an MX-5. Put anything large around here like this, it's a struggle.
Yeah, especially with the track being so... I mean, if you saw an F1 car go around here, it'd be absolutely awful. You know, there'd be absolutely no room to do anything at all. So it's good to see that these GT3s and the hypercars are able to go side by side somewhere around this circuit. Of course, difficult around this part of the lap, but when we get down towards turn 9, when we get down towards turn 1, we are seeing moves attempted to be made by some of these guys. And Mac Sundenlap is going to be thinking about it on John Uyan in the not too distant future, I am sure. But we are approaching halfway in this race. 30 minutes gone, 30 minutes to go. And badly with the amount of cars we've got. We've still got 28 cars in the field after starting with 32, so we're actually going a little bit stronger than I thought we would.
Yeah, what is going on here? What the... Did it not repair the damage? See, Stacey looks like she's got another load of damage. We've had some pit stops take place. Alec King's in the pits. Mike Bell's gone out. Alec King's pitted. Mike Bell's pitted. Scar Pope's pitted. Currently, Jerry Chen has not, and neither has Kesby. Kesby has just gone in to the pit, so that's released. Yay! That hasn't released Alec King after something went on down in turn 1, and I think we can just about, if I can catch that early enough, have a look back. Oh, where are you? That one. There you go. What did Alec King...
Down at turn 1.
Oh, there's a car there. There's a car facing the wrong way. Was that Lanny Hall? I think it was. Too fast. Way too quick. Even. Oh, poor old Matthew Overton again.
Matthew Overton is going to come out of this race looking like a well-trained Marine. The amount of... Oh, there you go. There you can see. Oh, my word. I mean, some of these drivers are just playing peekaboo down at turn 1, aren't they? They're just somewhere out of the blind spot as you're approaching the corner, waiting for you as you come around the corner. It's a bit like a horror movie in that
Overton's
regard,
broke. Look at the steering.
Oh, God, yeah.
Overton's
He's really been in the walls today.
Oh yeah, God! I'm surprised he ain't got anything left on that car after the fact of the amount of times it's been hit or been, you know, given a good old shove down in turn 1. At one point, he lifted a hypercar up in the air. Right, Music Racer. Tyre wear in my hypercar was totally different to practice and just got far too tally. You're going to have to tell me who you are, dear sir. Unfortunately, your name does not match any of the names that we got. Stacey's back in the pits again. Dan Kirby's now in there as well. Matthew Overton, as we saw. Ross Smith's in there again. Some of the pit stops that have taken place already. already. There's not many that haven't. Eduardo Benica has not pitted. John Uyan, by the looks of it, JT Tammy, Alan Holden, Stephen Miller, most of the GT3s to be fair, but most of the hypercars have, as you can see this battle on your screen at the moment going through. So Yuji Mizuha and David Anderson.
I really didn't think Yuji Mizuha was going to get that one stopped. It looked like he braked way too late for turn 1, but he did get it stopped. He got it rotated, and he didn't find that wall on the outside of turn 1, which so many have so far this evening. It's a nice move to put himself up into P5 in this GT3 category. He's behind Dan Kirby, of course, as we make our way through. But Dan Kirby, I believe, has made that pit stop. Yes, he has. So he is the net race leader. Usually Mazur is net P2, only about 12.5 seconds back from Dan Kirby. So, you know, that is not a bad showing. The pace that Dan Kirby shows week in, week out, being 12.5 seconds off after half an hour of racing, especially with all the traffic, with the hypercars that we've had, is quite a good showing here from Mazur.
Yeah, I was just looking through the overalls to see where everyone is. Look at Scar Pope, he's sitting in 4th overall. Graf's in 6th, Galvin 7th, Angelina's 8th, Vesser in 9th. That's it for the hypercars. And then you got Benica in the top 10. The leader of the GT3 Pros is sitting in 10th overall, which is absolutely amazing considering you've got a hypercar of Jerry Chen behind you who's trying to get through. Okay, Lanny Hall is not also doing too well at the moment. We've lost Adrian Rice, Jason Whitehead, but for a GT3 to be that high up, that's quite a pretty good going. It just goes to show the fact that he's been keeping it on the circuit here, I think. And that's what we've been... Oh, as I say that, he tail slides around the thing. Paul Liberson, he's Adrian Rice. Tally means tail sliding. Okay, bud. And, yeah, Benica doing just that.
Yeah, you said he was driving perfectly well and, you know, keeping on the track. And ever since that, he has looked less than comfortable in that car. And the rear end has been going all over the place. It's been wanting to go in 50 different directions. And you can see it again, just sliding his way through, but making sure he's still in a straight line. He's got a couple of hypercars coming up behind him. And I believe they are to be, as I'm looking,
Alvarez,
I think it is Alec King there.
Yeah, I think that's Alec.
It's Alec King and Alvarez. Yeah, yes, it is. So Alvarez is a lap down here on the leader, Alec King, as we make our way down towards turn 9. Shows how much time Alvarez has lost and how quick Alec King has been, really.
Yeah, King, he said you need patience, and he's definitely trying it. Bless him. He's got a 13.5 second gap to Mike Bell up the front, so great job from him. And there goes Alec King, there goes Francesco Alvarez as well, so both of them go through. Benica is now in the pit lane, so it's gonna be where John Uyan is. John Uyan is coming around the last corner. Benica is still in the pits, had a very poor couple of in-laps, which we saw. Dara, he was sliding more than Bambi on ice. That was just it for Benica. I think he probably left it a little bit late, but John Uyan and JT Tammy have both gone past Eduardo Benica at the moment. Regarding their pit stops though, well, we can see John Uyan has yet to pit and JT Tammy hasn't pitted either, so Benica is the first of the top 5 really of the GT3s pitting.
Yeah, but let's see where he comes out, because Dan Kirby has pitted and he's coming down the main straight in relation. I think it's going to be quite close between these two, actually, as they come down. There you go. There is Benica. Benica's actually a long way in front.
Yeah, Benica's around the fountain.
Dan Kirby's really been overcut there, hasn't he? So he's now got work to do. A little bit of lag there. Going to be a big old incident down at the fountain. But, yeah, Dan Kirby, he's not winning the race, James.
No, not yet. And I say not yet, I'll say it in the nicest possible way. Dan is incredibly quick, no matter what car he jumps in. And I don't know how long it's going to be. He's coming around to lap GT3 AMS at the moment. So for Dan Kirby, he's got to make sure he can get through. But currently, without the pit stop cycles, Eduardo Benica is in that net lead, because we know John Uyan and JT Tammy have still got to stop, right? So that should release a fight between Benica and Kirby coming over now the last 22 minutes. Eugene Mazur looks like he has just maybe had a moment, unfortunately for him, as well, as we've got a yellow flag there. I think that could be either Stephen Miller or Eugene Mazur may have had a problem. There is Eugene. I don't know if it was him that's just caused that, but Eugene Mazur or Steve Miller, both of them were very slow currently. The hypercars, well, they're pretty spread out, Darren. There's not a lot we can say about the hypercars at the moment. We've still got this GT3 situation with Benica. Tammy and Uyan are still not in the pits here, so Uyan's got to try and make the best of a bad situation. He's got to open up the gap as much as he can to Benica.
He does, but he's getting stuck at the moment here behind one of the AM cars at the moment. Let's see if he can make his way through down the inside, and he has done that quite nicely. JT Tammy is not too far back either. Is this the lap that we see John Uyan dive it into pit road? Let's see, through the final corner. He is taking a little bit of a shallower line, but he's not coming in. He's going to carry on at least one more time as we see a couple of hypercars make their way through. There is that battle at the front of the hypercars between Bell and Kesby that's only a couple of seconds out. But apart from that, there is only really one little train of 3 cars that are within 1 second of each other. So they have spaced out in terms of battles for position, but we're not being left wanting in terms of action between lap traffic.
No, definitely not. And I think we knew that we were going to get this situation, right? We knew we were going to get lap traffic. We knew we were going to get hypercars. That's George Angelidis. He's just about to go past John Uyan. JT Tammy's in the background. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's Alan Holden. It is Alan Holden leading the GT3 AMS. So he's doing a good job at managing his car and managing the traffic as well as one of the hypercars clears JT. He's now going to clear Alan. Is he going to be able to get? The question will be when and where would he get Uyan? He's not going to get him down here. He's going to make sure that he's going to try and get him on the left-hand side. Can't get him there. Don't dive him at the last corner. If you do that, you are suicidal. He's not going to get it. That is the number 10 car, which isn't George Angelidis. I think, I'm wondering if that actually could be Carl Vesser. It is. So there you go. The out there, welcome into YouTube as well. I figured Eduardo was quick when he said he looked forward to renewing his battles with Dan. That wasn't someone jumping into midfield. I don't get the last statement, but I understand the first one. And at the moment, Eduardo Benica, and there is Dan Kirby. So it's closing here, and it's closing quite quick. It's going to be down whether or not Kirby can get it.
Yeah, and he's made his way through, and I think the car in front of him is Benica. So this is it, really. This is the battle. They are right up next to each other now. There's no traffic between them, at least for the moment. And Dan Kirby has got his sights set on what would be the lead in terms of net lead in this GT3 battle. Into the pit lane is Alec Bell. Not Alec Bell, sorry. It's well, it is Bell. It's Mike Bell, I should say, in the pit lane again. I think this is his second time into the box. So maybe we might be looking at another stop coming up for some of the leaders as well, but it's a little bit early, unless maybe got some damage. 20 minutes to go, a bit of a weird one. Yeah, but it would take him on 20 and 20. So, you know, he's gone from 60 to 40, from 40 to 20. He's probably not really out of hypercar sequence. 20-25 minutes, I think. That's probably roughly where they are as we're on board with Dan Kirby going around the last couple of corners here before we go on to Shoreline Drive. Kirby and Benica. Well, if Benica wants to battle, he's got to win the war, and the only way he's going to do that is finish in front of this man he's got behind him, because I can tell you what, Kirby is not a learner driver by any shape of the imagination. Here he comes, actually, all the way down towards turn 1. A fantastic slipstream. He's going to have the inside line. Thinks better of it. Benica's going to keep the lead for now, but he broke too late, nearly. Absolutely clouted the wall there with his rear right, but just about gets away with it. But Dan Kirby, you can definitely tell that he's applying the pressure, and Benica is feeling it at the moment.
Definitely is. Oh, hello. Oh, Benica's back. There we go. He's back on track there. Kirby's... well, he's putting him under a heap of pressure. That Aston Martin Vantage, I can tell you one thing, if it's going to slide around like that, it's going to eat that rubber underneath him. And Benica is, well, he's going to be how he was on his in-lap, Dara, just sitting there slipping and sliding. Oh, he's in the wall! Oh!
And that's going to give the lead to Dan Kirby. easy as you like down towards turn 9. Dan Kirby retakes what would be the net race lead. And yeah, right, Benica, he's just not taking the right lines. I was going to mention on the entry to the corner there that he looked like he was going wide, and lo and behold, he ended up in the wall. These guys got to be careful as well. I believe that is Alec King arriving on the scene behind these guys. So the leading battle in GT3 is meeting the leading hypercar, but you know, Alec King getting through on Dan Kirby. Dan Kirby, he really took the opportunity, but Benica, he just doesn't look comfy, does he?
No, he looks like he's overdriving the car. It's not, clearly, by what Paul said, it's not his ability. He just looks like he's applying the pressure. He doesn't look like he's feathering the throttle in. It's more of a slam and go. And probably the problem with a slam and go is the Aston Martin is not going to love it whatsoever. You know, that's bordering on the line of your back end's coming round. And we get them in the AMGs as well, in the Mercedes. We know how they don't like the pedal being slammed. I think we explained that the last time we were talking about these wonderful AMGs here, we talked about it as you got to treat it like a Netflix and chill night with a wife. You know, treat it softly, get it on, you know, give it a little bit of a cuddle, get it a glass of wine, treat it nice, and it will treat you nice back. You give it a slam on the throttle, man, you are going to do more pirouettes than a ballerina, I can tell you that much.
It's a fantastic analogy right there. I'm going to write that one down.
No worries, you can.
Use.
Yeah, you can use it for free. I don't even want royalties on that one.
Yeah, Max Sunderland we're looking at now, currently in P5 in his GT3 category. He's right on the back of John Uyan now. So John Uyan is right in this fight after coming into the pit lane. So there is some battling on track, but we'll have to see if Sunderland can make this one stick. For a second I thought he might try it into the final corner, but thinks better of it. But with 15 minutes to go, 3/4 of the way through this race, there are still battles on track for position, and there are some things that are yet to be decided. Up front, though, there remains only 3 drivers on the lead lap.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, I've got to be honest. Have you seen where we're at, right? As Johnny Uyan does clear that back marker of that BMW. Jay, it's interesting, right? Because I've been watching this battle, and Mac makes up the ground when he can get past that BMW, of course. He makes up the ground in the middle sectors of the circuit. So from about now, he closes up on Uyan. But as soon as that Lamborghini Huracan hits that straight, see you later. Take care. You're gone. Whatever John has got in that Corvette C8 cannot keep up with John Uyan. Look, he makes it up here. We'll watch it and you'll see it firsthand. And as soon as he goes around that last corner, boom, Uyan's gone. It's like he's hit the NOS button. It really is quite interesting to see how much power this Huracan's got.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep your eye for those of you. Oh, but that is Uyan having a big old mistake. No! And down the inside at the final corner. Oh, that kind of ruins the statement I was going to make. I was going to say, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you can just watch. You can see it now. That gap opening up.
Look
8
at
tenths,
him.
9 tenths. A full second nearly now. You can just see him disappear. 1.1 seconds. So, you know, it's just got so much more pace. But in the space of a corner, Max Sunderland, it could gain 3-4 tenths. And it just shows where the different strengths are in these cars. I think that was a bit of lag there. I thought straight on
somebody
with what
exiting the session, unfortunately, causes a little bit of problems with RF2. It doesn't really like it. You can see we've got Mike Bell behind us. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, there's that rear camera, and that's Mike Bell. You can see, look, this is the bit that I don't get. You know, you got all of this in that Corvette, and it makes up the time so well on that Huracan. And then boom, it's just gone. And it's just unbelievable. Oh, Mike Bell taking that Tokyo drifting, that hypercar through in front of us. But we'll watch it here. You'll just see. It'll just go. It's just insane.
I mean, look, so it was about 6 tenths when they were going down the straight, but then through the corner, I mean, it doesn't help that Johnny had a moment, but it's closed right up to 1/4 of a second. It's 3 tenths through one corner alone, really. But it'll be better when you see off this final corner with no contact. Oh, also doesn't help that the Sunderland Laps had an awful exit that he's just going to lose a second. It'll be 1.5 by the time they get towards turn 1. No, it's just so unfortunate. Noticing actually some hypercar pit stops. Vaser and Rice are in the boxes together, so maybe, you know, they can't get to the end. King, Kesby, Alvarez, are they going to have to think about a pit stop here?
Yeah, Carl Vaser's just DNF'd. It's just a DNF. We'll have a quick look. What did he do? Oh, he's not looking sturdy. Oh my, where are you going? Oh, good luck getting that Acura out of there, mate. Oh, no.
He's trying to go to San Diego down there.
No, he just called it a day, and that was it, unfortunately. But yeah, it's some great little ding-dongs going on in the GT3s, and I'm loving the GT3s at the moment. I think they're putting on an absolutely incredible show. John Mayer and David Anderson are scrapping it out as well. Felipe, someone is absent on the grid. Interesting. I'm off, he's off. Interesting. Do you know, sometimes I feel like we're on a show with a Krypton factor when we try and work out YouTube messages. It's insane. Whoa! Eugene, Missouri.
Oh, there's still... Oh, there was big contact there. I think that was David Anderson either being spun or doing the spinning. It was doing the spinning.
Was that,
I don't know who it was.
James Bowders. Look at this. Bowders comes from a country mile. God, blimey.
The thing is, if he left a little bit of room on the exit there, that would have been a fantastic move.
But look how far he came.
He had it stopped. Had it stopped on the apex, he just needed to leave a little bit more room on the exit. Basically, the corner was done. He just didn't factor the fact that there was still the car on the outside on the exit.
Wow. God blimey, Bowder. You didn't come through post office there, mate. You come from FedEx. It was that far. It was absolutely unbelievable. But these guys back together again. So Johnny and Max Sunderland still scrapping away quite nicely. The hypercars are well spread out at the moment. We've lost Vaser, we've lost Rice. We've only got 4 pros left. We've got right down to Jerry Chen at the moment. So we've still got, I believe, is Lanny Hall still running? He is. So Lanny's still running, but he's been in a bit of a rough one. So we've still got the 6 hypercars, but that is it for the hypercars at the moment. Only 10 out of what I think was 12 to 14 hypercars. So there we go. My rival absent, someone whose name starts with V. See? Krypton factor.
Oh, I think Felipe's saying that he's not there and his rival is there as well. So
figure out the name. Who's the rival that begins with V? Vinicius Concalves. That's the only one I've got. So if it ain't that, I'm stuck.
Vinicius Concalves for 200, please, Jeff.
Yeah.
Give it a go. 10 minutes left in this race. We're getting towards the closing stages. Again, the gaps are wide, but we're still getting some great action with this lap traffic. That is Alvarez. Currently, somehow Alvarez is still in P3 in his class. Scar Pope is still on the podium. Overall, he's ahead of Franco Alvarez, and even though he's in the AM category, a podium would be fantastic overall.
What has happened to Mike Bell? How did he end up down there?
Pitted, didn't he?
Oh yes, he went into the pits. Everybody else has still got to come in, haven't they, for their second stop? Yeah, because that's right, isn't it? Mike Bell, yeah, they did pit. So I forgot that. Yeah, yes, he is on 2. Scar Pope's on 2, mind you, and still up in 3rd. So this goes to show how good a job Scar Pope's doing again there as well. But Sanford Lap still chasing down Uyan. Monsieur is now got Mr. Smith in his sights. Says usually Monsieur just up the road, and there is Mr. Smith in the Lamborghini, and Eugene Monsieur in the Vantage. So yeah, nice little battle here between the Aston Martin and the Lamborghini.
Bright pink Lamborghini that Ross Smith is commanding there through. He comes at turn 4. Interesting here, Alvarez is coming to the pit lane. It now means that in the hypercars, we've basically got kind of half the guys have pitted for a second time, and half of them haven't. So you never know if they might not get to the end here. Alec King holds a minute of an advantage over Scar Pope, but only a 24-second lead over Kesby. So, you know, I think if he was to need another pit stop, he would drop into P2, depending on what Kesby would do. I think they'd probably have to do it together if either of them needed one. We'll keep an eye on that in the closing 7 minutes here. Eugene Mazur, we saw him having a good time about half an hour ago, but he's struggling a little bit more now. And Ross Smith is right on the back of him. They're a long way back from the cars in front.
Oh, Ross. Sorry, he had a bad spin up and then hit the wall. That's a shame because we've seen that Hurricane's got so much power, possibly that he might have cleared that Aston Martin, but he just spun up coming out the final corner. Right, DNFs, Carl Vesser, Stacey Scott. I don't want to say she's DNF, but she's been in the pits for a very long time. Adrian Rice, Jason Whitehead, Paul Ibbotson and Alex McQuarrie. 10 Hypercars still running. Lanny Hall is running, but he's laps down at the moment. Norm Graf has just gone into the pits. He's lost that place back to Mike Bell. So Mike is starting to move his way through. On the pit stops, Wayne Galvin, we think, has got one more to do. So has Ben Kesby, so is Alec King. Scar Pope's got 2 on the board, and Francesco Alvarez has got 2, which is what we said the total would be for the Hypercars. So technically, Mike Bell, if he plays his cars right, might be able to get Galvin. Is he going to get Alvarez? Well, that's still to see.
No, I think he will get Alvarez because I think he's only 10 seconds off the back. Oh, actually, no, you're right, because of course they're on the same start screen, no. Yeah, so anything. If Willie Galvin pits, of course, he'll drop behind Mike Bell, but Mike Bell a lot of work to do to get through on Franco Alvarez, which would be for the podium in the Hypercar Pro category. Right then, 6 minutes to go. Time is ticking away for those guys to need a pit stop in the Hypercars. They did come into the pit lane with about 30 minutes to go, so it would make sense to go half and half if they can do that. Might require a little bit of fuel save, as we have seen King drop off a couple of seconds, I think, over the last couple of laps. He was leading by 24, it's now 21, and that first sector was half a second back on Ben Kesby, sorry. So, you know, maybe he's just doing a bit of fuel save at the moment, but it's getting to that stage where there's only going to be a handful of laps left. Yeah,
there is, and I think if he's got to come in, it'll be a quick splash and dash. I think that's what we're looking for. Let's go, Ross. Lambo's Renite. Well, you guys have got the power, Paul. That's what I don't understand. Look at Max Sunfalap. And, well, he's lost a lot of time to JT Tammy here. I'm not quite sure why Sunfalap has all of a sudden, has he pitted? Could that be where my problems lie? And I've not noticed that he's gone into the pits. But Sunfalap there, obviously with JT Tammy, has lost a lot of time at the moment, so unfortunately, again, not entirely sure why on how he's lost 11 seconds all of a sudden, unless he got caught up on something here. Trying to be nosy, but I can't see anything with his name on over the last few laps.
We'll keep an eye on that. Ooh, as that said, a Hypercar coming through down towards turn 1, something like a lap down to that Hypercar runner. But, I mean, yeah, it's interesting really now, isn't it, at this point in the race? The gap's, of course, wide. I think the closest gap that we have in terms of actual class victory is in the LMGT3s. It's 15 seconds.
Oh, John Uyan. He just went and punched the wall. He was doing so well. Look at the damage. Oh, John.
This late on into the race, that's heartbreaking, really. Especially when you've done this much work. You can see the skid marks of the tyres as well, can't you?
Yep.
To the wall, and then the car rested on the wall in towards turn 2. So unfortunate there for John Ian. But I actually think it's so late on into the race that he might not even lose all of the positions.
No, he's lost all the positions to the GT3s. He's down in 25th. Yeah. He's down in 25th.
GT3s aren't actually that far apart, really, are they, the bulk of them? There's at least there's 5 or 6 cars within about half a minute.
Yeah, that's the thing. They've stayed pretty close. Obviously, apart from Dan Kirby absolutely hurtling away like a trooper. You know, he's run away like a scolded cat, as Dan Kirby said, see you later, I'm off. Everybody else is fairly close. Now, I said, how many cars did I say finished? Can you remember?
26, didn't you?
26.
25.
25. How many cars do you think are on track at the moment still going?
There are 25.
Yep, 25. Ooh. I think... Oh, Stacey's back out again. Oh, she's done
26.
Me. 26. I need one more.
It's going to be the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, you know, let's hope nobody's going to be the sacrificial lamb, really, because.
Oh yeah, no,
you know,
not.
we're going to have. I think we're going to have one and one more here from Alec King. He's just got over the line, 2:23 on the clock, so we're going to have this one and one more, Dara, before we're on the final lap.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, we'll have this and then two more in total. I do believe, or we'll see. Alec King is in no rush at the moment getting through this GT3 traffic. He is just sitting in behind. He's lost a chunk of time to Kesby behind him. It's now 19 seconds to that gap. I mean, he still has a lap advantage over Franco Alvarez, who will be, as it stands, sharing that Hypercar Pro podium with him come the end of this race. But as we run down towards turn 9, I mean, it's going to be relatively close in terms of time of whether we get another lap or not. I mean, I actually think, or actually definitely has the ability to slow down enough to make next lap the final lap. It's just whether he wants to or not.
Well, that's the thing, but he's got to drop quite a lot. 1:28.27, and he's on a 1:11. If he really gonna drop 12 seconds, no. 1:19, 1:18, 1:17's come over the line. Still going to be this one and one more.
Exactly. Yeah, but it should theoretically be that. But I mean, Kesby would cross the line. If he was the leader, it would be now the final lap. So Alec King can slow down if he wants to, but I don't think he will. Just depends how close he is to that fuel number, I guess, as he comes around turn 4 now. Not too much more traffic for him to get through. He doesn't have to worry about ambitious moves. He can be as patient as he wants to be. And with 50 seconds on that clock. Scar Pope, I think we really need to give a shout out to him because he's currently P3 overall, doing an absolutely stellar job at the moment. Less than a minute off of Alec King over the course of this hour. You know, a good minute in front of Wayne Galvin, the next Hypercar AM driver. He's really driven amazingly well tonight. Yeah,
he has, and I think that's the thing. You've got to give him props. Whether or not there's going to be a splash and dash in there, I don't think there is. I can tell you though, Mike Bell's managed to get himself back up to 4th. Alvarez is just behind him. That yellow car there is Alvarez. Where is Alec King? Are we going to hit this final lap? This is going to be about as close. Yes, we are. Final laps, it is on the cards at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on Alec King, as obviously it's going to be very, very tight. But Mike Bell, 1.7 seconds up the road from Alvarez in the GT3s. There's no real sort of action happening as some of the cars are quite far apart.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really this the last little bits of lap traffic. Alec King just, you know, dawdling, not really doing too much now on the back of this. I think this is also another Hypercar, isn't it? Yes, it is, as he makes his way through now down in towards turn 6. I do actually believe that could be George Angelidis. Indeed it is, who has only been lapped once, unless Alec King makes it 2. Let's see if he does down in towards turn 9. Is he going to go for the move? Is he going to sit in behind? Does he want one last bit of glory in this race? No. He's going to sit in behind and wait and see how it all unfolds. George Angelidis will have to do one more tour of this Long Beach circuit and will likely be
the
last driver to cross the line.
I reckon he'll move over.
Let's see. Oh, no, he doesn't. He's just going to allow Alec King to finish behind him. Angelidis is going to do one more lap just to consolidate his position. But it's Alec King who wins here in Long Beach. A dominant display. He's not had to worry about Dan Kirby this evening, and he's not really had to worry about anybody else at all. Kesby a long way back, and Alec King, fantastic victory for him in this Hypercar Pro category. We've got Scar Pope coming through to win, you'd think, or actually, you know, certainly, because he's completed more laps than everybody else in the AM category. And we've got Dan Kirby coming down as well. So these guys a long way behind the other class winners, but, you know, fantastic performances up and down the field.
Yeah, Alan Holden's just come over the line for the GT3 AMs. So Holden's taken the GT3 AMs. Scar Pope is going to get the Hypercar AM win. and Kirby's going to win the Hypercar Pro. I think Benica is going to take second. However, he doesn't look like he has taken... he did take second, actually, from JT Tammy. That was very close coming down to the line. But yeah, where are you going? And that's Scar Pope.
Yeah, Scarpa, fantastic stuff from him. On the podium overall, winning, of course, in the AM category, and a fantastic drive. Really, really credit to himself there. There's Dan Kirby. He's won twice in the Hypercars. Now he's won once in the GT3s. He's just a winning machine, is the man in what is now the Porsche, as he has won by a very, very decent margin, a comfortable margin. And I think, actually, he's completed more laps than anybody else in GT3, which means it doesn't really matter what he was doing, as he's done some donuts at turn 1. It doesn't matter if he smashed his car up now, does it?
No, it doesn't really. It's just all about how many donuts he's going to get in, as George Angelidis is there. Not quite sure why he's facing the wrong way, but we'll just take that as it's fine. I mean, George is the boss. We're not going to argue with George whatsoever on that one. But there we go. Right, we'll bring you up the quick session results, and we'll see how we get on.
Right then, here we go. These are all the combined results, but we can work out just who was in what class. Alec King, of course, winning, and of course Hypercar Pro by a big margin. 51 laps of Long Beach in the end, with Ben Kesby finishing in P2. Scar Pope finishing P3, a fantastic result, winning the AM category in the Hypercars. Mike Bell and Franco Alvarez P4 and P5, with Wayne Galvin, George Angelidis, Norm Graf and Jerry Chen, the Hypercars in the top 9. Dan Kirby, GT3, 10th overall, and only 3 laps down come the flag. Fantastic stuff from him in his Porsche. We'll scroll on. I mean, there are so many drivers in this race. I think we did have 26 meet the flag. Eduardo Benica made it 11th, just ahead of JT Tammy. Max Sunkenlap came home 13th, with Eugene Mazur in 14th and Ross Smith in P15. Alan Holden, your GT3 AM winner in his Ferrari 296 GT3 car, ahead of John Mayer and David Anderson, 2 more pro runners. James Bowders, even after that late race move, finishes 19th, and it was a nice P20 for Stephen Miller. Matthew Overton in P21 with Ryan Reyes in P22. Sean Kelly, Ryan Jacobs and Lanny Hall, the Hypercar in the midst of these GT3s in 25th. John Huan didn't meet the end of the race. He technically finished 26th, and Stacey Scott, she did finish the race in 27th. Kyle Vaser, Adrian Rice are among the non-finishers. Paul Ibbotson, Alexander McQuarrie, and the final driver, Jason Whited. None of those drivers finished the race. But, you know, a fantastic evening of racing, James. A full hour worth of cars going around Long Beach, where we didn't really know where to look. There was instant galore, there were passes galore, and full credit to our winners this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what's going to be the thing. You got to credit the guys for even finishing. I think sometimes it's very tough for them to get finishing. Paul Ibbotson, low JT trying to put it in the fountain. Yeah, he did. He didn't do it very well, did he? Unfortunately, didn't get it right on that one. But yeah, we're going to have some interesting chats, I'm sure. And we'll bring Alan King. Do you want to start at the top, or do you want to start at the...
Yeah, we'll start at the top.
Start at the top. So here is Alec King for you, sir.
Alec. Good evening, Alec, again. We spoke to you earlier on, but, I mean, you've now won the race. It was relatively comfortable in the end, but we were talking about fuel in the race. Were you close on the fuel number, like, in the last couple of laps?
Yes, definitely at the end. I decided to go one-stop strategy just because you really couldn't push out there. There was so much traffic, there was so much chaos with everyone together that it was just easier to fuel save through everything. And even fuel saving, I was able to run fastest lap of the race and then, still be able to run with everybody. So towards the end, definitely on that second stint, I turned it down a couple mixtures and tried to fuel save even more just to be clear. But I think I still finished with a lap and a half, almost 2 laps of fuel left. So we would have been fine, but it was just a little extra precautionary.
I mean, the traffic, we talked about it before the race. You said you've got to be a little bit patient. There were a couple of times, particularly at the start of the race, where you were really forcing the issue. Was it more comfortable towards the end of the race? Because, of course, you had that buffer where you could just sit behind the GT3 cars, not really worrying about having to make a move in some dangerous areas of the racetrack.
Yeah, definitely in the beginning. I was a little worried just because I wasn't sure what everyone's strategy was going to be. I didn't know if the guys that were running, like Mike, running around the same speed as I was, as if he was fuel saving or if he was full push. So I knew with me fuel saving, that if they were fuel saving as well, that the race could end up being a little bit tighter. So I was just trying to make sure that the gap never got too big and that I could always be right there just in case anything happened. So there definitely was a little, we definitely had to force the issue a little bit, make some passes in some areas that wasn't really, the greatest, but definitely still was patient enough to not have any incidents or anything. Last thing I want to do is have another incident and another penalty. But no, other than that, everything else went good. Later on in the race, everyone kind of spaced out and everyone kind of got into a little groove and was comfortable. So you could be a little bit more cautious.
I full credit to you there. But next time out, we are not going very far in terms of location-wise, but we definitely are going far in terms of track. It's going to be Laguna Seca in a few weeks' time. I mean, looking forward to that. It's a very different circuit to Long Beach. I mean, are you confident about that track? Are you looking forward to it, or is it not one of your strengths?
Laguna Seca is definitely a fun one. I've never done it actually in a league race. I've done a lot of offline stuff on that. Very fun track. I enjoy it. I feel like I run it pretty well. It's definitely going to kind of be like Long Beach though, with how the traffic comes in. It's a little tighter. It's a more high speed Long Beach, but now I'm really looking forward to it. Really excited. So I think Jerry and my teammate, I have to give full credit to him for the strategy and the setup. He sent it to me and I almost didn't have to touch anything and we're able to get the win with it. But I think him and I will be able to put together a good setup and both finish well here at Laguna Seca in a few weeks.
Well, congratulations on your win, and I'm sure we're going to be talking to you again in a few weeks' time after Laguna Seca. So congratulations, and we might speak to you soon.
Yeah, guys. Thank you guys so much for doing this. This has been awesome. I'm glad I was finally able to get into the booth and talk to you guys, not just before, but after for a win. But thank you guys for all this, and then I'm looking forward to hearing you guys again and hopefully talking to you again here in a few weeks.
Is there anybody you'd like to shout out just before we let you go?
Flying Kiwi Racing, my teammate Jerry Chen, Ross Smith, and Josh McGlinsky. Those guys running Shade True Motorsports. That's our real shop name. So them running it in the sim is pretty cool. Josh sadly couldn't run tonight. But no, just everyone there. CMS for putting this on. You guys for commentating. You guys do an awesome job. George Angelides, John Yuan, Matthew Overton, all the guys, putting all the work in for Storm Gang Simulation and putting together all these cars and allowing me to be a part of it. So we had a really cool series, and I can only look forward to the future and see how big and how much we can grow.
We do have a cool series. Fantastic racing here at the VMSC NARS series. But thank you, Alec. Congratulations. And yeah, we'll speak to you soon.
Yep. You guys take it easy.
There you go. We'll bring Smart BOPed into the booth. The winners of the Hypercar AM.
Scar, I mean, a fantastic race from you. P3 overall, of course, winning in the AM category. You really looked comfortable in that race. That must be a massive confidence boost for you. Really, with the strategy and with the result, I mean, you've got to be pleased with how it all went.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, that's definitely my best result in the historics or moderns in at CMS so far. So I'm very happy with that one. I knew from the start I wasn't going to make a one-stop work with the pace I could do for the fuel save. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to stick with the pros and just keep as fast as I could and do what I could with the traffic and go from there. And there was a few accidents out there and it was never right in front of me, which really helped.
Yeah, I mean, we did see so many of those. I mean, were you able to feel, you were always on your toes really when overtaking that traffic because it is so difficult to get through those GT3 cars. Were you on your toes? Were you a little bit more relaxed trying to get through them, knowing you had a buffer, particularly to the guys in your class? Or were you keen to get through to try and keep up with the pace, even with the pro guys?
I knew that it was through practice that it was going to be really tough at certain sections of the track. So just take the 2 seconds loss and go for it. It's better than go for it down the straights, out of the corners sort of things. Especially through the fountain after turn 1, you basically have to wait until turn 5 straight. And then even then it's a bit tricky if you don't get on the power right. So yeah, I was very careful with what I was doing. And I think there was twice when I tried to outbrake a GT car because they've just got phenomenal braking ability compared to the hypercars. So it's just not worth going for it half the time.
Yeah, but either way, it was a great result from you. Looking forward, a few weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, in fact, we're going to be going to Laguna Seca, of course, still in California, but it's a very different track. I mean, Alex said that it's a bit like a Long Beach without the walls. I mean, is it a track that you're looking forward to? You're slightly worried about it? Because, of course, it's got those elements like the corkscrew and, of course, down towards turn 1, triple apex corner. I mean, is it one you're looking forward to, or are you maybe a little bit apprehensive?
I love Laguna. It's one of my favorite tracks. I love it in kart. I love it in Formula One. I love it in touring cars, and I'm sure I'm going to love it in hypercars. So I'm really looking forward to it.
That is what we love to hear. After the race, particularly when you've done so well. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out before we let you run off?
You guys, CMS, SGS for putting it all together, and everyone out there on track for making it happen. It was great fun.
Thank you, Scar. I mean, congratulations again, and hopefully we'll speak to you again soon after Laguna Seca.
Cheers, guys.
Right, next up you'll have Dan Kirby, the winner of the GT3 Pros.
Yeah, Dan, we've talked to you as the hypercar winner the last couple of rounds. Now you're the GT3 winner. You know, different car, same result. Must have been exciting for you. How did you find the traffic here? I mean, of course, the hypercars were keen to get through. Were there any moves where you were kind of nervous about if they were going to dive it in inopportune place?
No, traffic was actually really easy to manage in the GT3, surprisingly. I was probably track specific because the GT3s are actually not very much slower through a lot of that tight section. So they can't really even go for moves because they're not even anywhere close. So there's really like only 2 spots that can actually pass you. So it was actually pretty easy to manage.
But I mean, talking about passing, your pass for the win happened down at turn 7. I mean, it was a mistake from the driver who was in front of you. But I mean, how much pressure were you putting on there? How keen were you to get through? Of course, you had that pace, but were you going to try and force the issue early on, or kind of let it develop and try and take it later on in the race with the tyre wear developing?
Yeah, I was not really trying to be too aggressive with him because I'm pretty sure he double sinted tires and I changed, so I was significantly faster, and it was kind of just like a matter of time kind of thing. So it just worked out that he made a mistake, so I got an easy pass.
Yeah, but either way, another fantastic performance from you. We say it week in, week out, but Dan Kirby is one of, if not the best driver here at the VMSC. So congratulations again, Dan. And looking forward, Laguna Seca, we've talked to the others about it. Is it a track you're looking forward to? It's, you know, it's different to Long Beach, but it's still tight. I mean, is it another one you're looking to take another victory out?
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of the closest thing I have to a home race because it's a couple hours away from me. And I've driven the track in real life, and it's one of, if not my favorite. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That should be a really fun track and race.
That's excellent, really. I mean, it's always good to be able to drive. I mean, my local is Snetterton. That's a bit of a change from Laguna Seca. But I mean, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out before you can run off?
Just the usual. Everyone here at CMS putting this stuff on. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. And I'm sure we will speak to you again in a few weeks' time after Laguna.
Alrighty, thank you guys.
Next up, you've got Alan Holden, the GT3 AM winner.
Yeah, last but not least, Alan. I mean, it was a relatively quiet race for you. There wasn't too much going on, but a win here in the NARS series, that must be fantastic for you.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely a great race for me. I was, going into this weekend, I was trying to practice a lot on this track. I've never really driven on this track too much, so I was trying to practice as much as I can, try and get everything ready for me and David. Qualified second. I think McCleary ahead of me had some sort of fuel issue at the start because he pitted almost immediately, I think, on lap 2. And then it was just a matter of holding off Stephen Miller behind me. I think he had it off, and so I just kind of try to coast my way to the end, not try to get into any trouble. Had a few hairy moments. I think I had 3 or 4 incidents happen right in front of me, and I somehow didn't hit anybody else there, pick up any damage. But other than that, that was a very great race by me.
Yeah, I mean, about those hair incidents, were you always on your toes? I mean, it just seemed like a race where you never really know what you were going to find coming around the corner. So were you kind of driving, waiting for something to happen, or were you always ready and confident that you could deal with it if something did happen in front of you?
Yeah, at some point I was just I was trying to brake just a lot earlier into my braking zones, not try to push the car a little too much. And when those incidents happened, I was kind of fortunate that I was doing that. There was an incident to turn one. One of the GT3s caught into the wall, bounced off, hit the hypercar that was in front of me. Just two cars almost blocking the entire track. And glad I broke a little earlier for that, because I probably would have been caught up in that if I didn't.
Yeah, but it's good job that you didn't, because you're here talking to us after winning the GT3 AM category. But it's a great way to kickstart a championship challenge as well. We're only on round 3, looking forward to round 4, Laguna Seca. A track you're looking forward to, a track you're not looking forward to. It's different in terms of its characteristics. Of the walls are quite far away, but the gravel is there and the track isn't too wide.
Yeah, also another track I really haven't driven a lot on, so I gotta get to pressing that. I think it may have a chance there. I think the Ferrari is pretty good around that track. It's really just going to be a matter of just hanging on to the corners, pushing the carousel. Hopefully that the Hypercars aren't too bad in that regard. Other than that, I think it's real good. It's kind of unfortunate that I did have that DNS at Daytona. Probably going to be in the championship battle pretty well. But yeah, I'm definitely going to try and climb my way back to the championship. I think I can have a good chance of winning this at the end.
Yeah, and the best way to do that is to put maximum points on the board, isn't it? In round 3, still a long way to go. There's still many more rounds for you to pick up. So, yeah, good luck for the future in this series, in this season, and good luck in 3 weeks' time. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out on the stream?
Definitely David Anderson. He's given me this opportunity to drive for CMS, and I'm trying to make the most of it. I'm definitely trying to make the most of it. So yeah, shout out to him. It's been very gracious to help me out, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, but congratulations, Alan. Fantastic result for you in the GT3 AM category, and hopefully we'll speak to you in a few weeks' time.
Absolutely. You guys have a good day.
James, I mean, all of the winners, it was quite fun to hear how they all kind of enjoyed the race. With all those incidents, it didn't really feel like it was particularly safe for any of these guys, but it was great for all 4 of them to be able to pick their way through the traffic and win their particular class.
Yeah, I think it was. And, we know that there was a certain individual who got beat up a lot round turn 1. I'll have a quick chat with Matthew Overton now. Matt, turn 1 didn't go too well. It was like being in a prize boxing match by the time you got down there a couple of times.
Yeah, I had just my luck. Normally it's hypercars coming up behind me and tapping me. This time it was them stopped in front of me, so I just couldn't win for losing. And I had a great time. It was a super race. I felt really good about the car and the way things were going. And just my bad luck to collect it all and then not collect Eugene. I yeeted him going into turn 1. Unfortunately, he saw me coming and let me just do what I did, carry on. So well done to him.
Another question for you. Where the hell was you taking Franco Alvarez when he was on top of your car?
I don't know. He just sort of landed there and I went, yeah, that wasn't happy. So it just sort of boink, and had to get him off. And away he went. So I'm looking forward to looking back on the stream and the replay to have a look at that to see exactly what happened, because he just appeared in front of me as I was chasing down Eduardo, and suddenly there he was. I couldn't get Eduardo so early enough to avoid, and Eduardo moved, and there he was.
Yeah, there was a lot going on for you down there as well, Matt. I think it was a very interesting race. As we said, 30 cars at Long Beach. I said 25 will finish. I think we actually had 26. I believe Stacey did finish the race. She was in YouTube chat saying, I survived, or wowzers, I made it. It was tough out there, Matt, with the wall so close.
She did. She pitted at the end, so... Yeah, but survived. She's going to score some points because she is not a DNF. So well done to her.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. Before we let you go, anyone you want to shout
out? Just to Alec and Eric for helping make this happen along with SGS. Really pleased that people are getting to see the racing at NARS for the VMSC. There's lots going on every Thursday. So even if we're not on your broadcast, there's a YouTube, or you can come and race with us, and we're happy to have you out. Good racing.
Ooh. I'm not busy every Thursday, Matt. It might be an open invitation.
You're more. We'll get you set up. We'll get you out there, and we'll show you how to run the track.
As long as it's not a Long Beach. I've seen how it went for
Still
you,
a
Matt. I
good
don't want to be at Long Beach.
All right, I got that.
All right, mate. Well, you take care, buddy.
All right, you too. Take care. Bye.
Well, there you go. Dara, an interesting one.
Yeah, it was an interesting race all over, really, wasn't it? I mean, there was contact, there was overtakes, there was, there were those big moments where we saw cars on top of other cars. It felt a bit like, I think it was Glock at Monaco, wasn't it, where he was sat on top of another car. So, lots of exciting racing, and some good championship developments, really, as we go in towards further deeper into the season. We've got Laguna Seca next, and then it's Detroit for round 5. So another street circuit, but a little bit more open and a little bit faster for these hypercars to maybe pick their way through on the GT3s a little easier. But it will be Laguna Seca, the next round officially in 3 weeks' time. It'll be May the 2nd. In the US of the morning of May the 3rd. You can see it there on your screen. Detroit follows Laguna Seca. And then we've got rounds at the Glen, Canada Motorsport Park, Road America, VIR, Indianapolis, and Road Atlantis. There's some fantastic rounds to come. And really, we're still only about a quarter of the way through, James.
Yeah, we are. Detroit. Wow. That's going to be interesting. Motorsport. That should be quite an experience. Road Atlanta would probably say the only dodgy one, especially if the hypercars are alongside the GT3s going up the hill into turn 2 and 3. But I think, Watkins Glen should be a smooth one. VIR, if we're on the full course, of course. Road America, there's plenty of room there. So, yeah, a couple of interesting ones coming up.
Definitely, and I'm looking forward to Laguna Seca because I think it's going to be quite an interesting race around that circuit. But it will be in 3 weeks' time before we come back for the VWSC NRAS series. Thanks to everyone who's been tuning in this evening, who's, put their thoughts in the chat, kept us updated, kept us on our toes regarding what they're doing in their races and what they've noticed about others as well. We will be back in a few weeks here for the VWSC NRAS series at Laguna Seca. But it's thanks from myself, Dareth Thacker, and James Parfitt in the commentary box. We will see you in a few weeks' time when the VWSC NRAS series returns at Laguna Seca.